Hello everyone, this video is for the ERD question in project 2. This slide 4, lists the business rules for project 2. First, let's look at the department and employee. A department employs many employees, and each employee may be employed by one department. Some employees, known as rover, are not assigned to any department. So here we have a one-to-many relationship between department and employee. One department can have many employees, but one employee may be associated with 0 to 1 department. Department here is optional in this one-to-many relationship. So let's first create the department table. The primary key, department ID. Primary key not null. Please set it as unsigned since it's an int data type and auto increment. And we then have department name, virtual 20. This is a required attribute, so you should set it as not null. Then department street, virtual 30. Department city, virtual 20, and department state, I think. Char 2, also a required attribute. And department zip code, int data type not null. Please set all int data type as unsigned. And department phone number, big int, big. Then department email address. This is virtual 45, also not null. Department null. I think the last one is a notes. Yeah, this is optional attribute, so you don't need to set it as not null. And then we have the employee table. Primary key, employee ID, employee's first name, employee's last name, employee's street, city, state, zip code, phone number, email address. The last one is optional attribute, employee notes. Okay, so then as we have already discussed in class, the employee here, the employee table here is entity supertype. We have two associate entity subtype, full-time employee and part-time employee. Here, employee must be either a full-time or part-time employee, which indicates a total, a full, completeness constraint. And the employee cannot be both a full-time and part-time employee, which indicates a disjoint constraint. So let's first create those two entity subtype here. The first thing we need to create is that subtype discriminator in the employee table. So if you still remember, it's called, we can give it to name called employee type, and data type is list, and this attribute should only have two values, either a F refers to full-time or a P refers to part-time. And this should be a required attribute. Okay, let's move it to here. The full-time entity subtype, this one has the same primary key as employee table. Employee ID, primary key not null, unsigned, auto increment, and it also has a unique attribute called annual salary. Yeah, you can use a shorter name. Decimal 92. This is also a required attribute. So the employee ID here in full-time table serves as both the primary key but also the foreign key later to maintain the one-to-one relationship between full-time and the employee. And then we have another entity subtype called part-time. The primary key is also the employee ID. Primary key not null, unsigned, auto increment, and this time it has two unique attributes. First is hourly rate, decimal 52, and then maximum hour per week. This is an int data type, so please set it as unsigned. Okay, so these two are the entity subtype, and we have a diversion table. A diversion operates many departments, and each department is operated by one diversion. This is clearly a one-to-many relationship between diversion and department. primary key in the division table is division ID. Primary key not null on-site auto increment, and then division name virtual 20 division street division city division state division zip code int division phone number big int division email address division the website URL. The last one again is division notes. This is a optional attribute. Okay, then what we still have, okay, so employee and project. From here, an employee may be assigned to many projects, and the project may have many employees assigned to it. So here we have a many-to-many relationship between employee and project. A project must have at least one employee assigned to it. So here we can say an employee can exist without the existence of a project because an employee may be assigned to many projects. Maybe a certain employee has no project to do, but a certain project must be assigned to at least one employee. So a project cannot exist without the existence of an employee. So this cardinality will be transferred to the cardinalities regarding the composite entity, the composite table. So let's first create that project table. Primary key is project ID. Project name is also a required attribute, and project notes. So there is a many-to-many relationship between employee and project. So we will need to add another composite entity to split this many-to-many relationship into two one-to-many relationship. And this is also a weak entity called assignment. This assignment table will have a composite primary key which inherent from its parent tables from its related tables. So the first primary key attribute it has is employee ID. Second is a project ID. So since this is a composite primary key, so you don't need to click the auto increment. The system will not auto increment the primary key value for composite primary key. And other attributes such as assignment name, assignment start date. This should be in a date data type. Assignment end date. Assignment duration. And assignment evaluation, which means if this assignment is pass or fail. So we also use a list for it. Either the data value will be P, which means pass, or F, which means failed. And the last one is notes. Okay, this is again the optional requirement. Okay, now we have all tables for project 2, although I haven't created those foreign key values, but this is a whole structure of project 2. You have 7 tables here. Okay, now let's start to create those relationships. So first, we have a 1-to-many relationship between department and employee, if you still remember. The department is on the optional side, while employee is on the mandatory side. So in this case, since employee is on the main side, so we always use the primary key in the table on the one side as the foreign key in the table on the main side. So in this case, we will use that department ID as a foreign key in the employee table to maintain that 1-to-many relationship. So let me create the department ID, this foreign key. So be sure here some of you have this such mistake in your project 1 is the foreign key you create, not only the data type need to be consistent with the data type here, but the column flag you picked up should also be consistent. For example, the department ID in the department table, the column flag is primary key, not null on-site auto increment, and the department in employee table, since this is foreign key, of course it's not primary key, it's not auto increment, but you need to set it as not null and on-site. And let me move this foreign key to the second place. Okay, so this is a one-to-many relationship. So we always first click the foreign key and then the primary key. Then we need to change the participation degree because department is on the optional side. If you still remember, some employee do not belong to any department, so this department ID for them will not have any value. So click this relationship foreign key and unclick this mandatory regarding the department. So you can see the red icon here becomes empty. This is because this department ID has been set as no regarding the because of the participation degree. Some employee will not have any associate department ID. So of course, this department ID here shouldn't be not no. So this relationship called employees And again, we have another relationship between department and employee. If you still remember, here it says one of the employee manages each department, and each department is managed by only one employee. Here, this is a one-to-one relationship between department and employee, but this time the foreign key should be placed in the department table because in this one-to-one relationship, department is on the optional side, employee is on the mandatory side. So still, employee can exist without the existence of department, but in this case, a department must have a manager. So if you still remember how we pick up the foreign key for one-to-one relationship, we always put the prime key in the table, which is on the mandatory side, as the foreign key in the table on the optional side. So for that one-to-one relationship, we will need to use this employee ID as foreign key in the department table. Employee ID int not no on side So for this one-to-one relationship, please be sure you first click the employee ID in the department table and then the employee ID in the employee table. So as you can see, so this employee ID this time is the foreign key. So we need to change several things for this relationship. First, this is a one-to-one relationship. Please change the cardinality. And also this time, again, department is not mandatory. So please unclick this checkbox. So now we have a one-to-one relationship, which means some employee serve as manager. One manager manages one department, and each department must have one and only one manager. So this relationship, the name is manage. Please mark the cardinalities according to the scenario. I will only do this one. Okay, so these are the two most important relationship you should understand in project 2. And then we have a one-to-many relationship between diversion and department. This one I think is much easier. So since department is on the many side, we use the diversion ID as foreign key in the department table. So which means I need to create another foreign key int not null and unsigned. Please move it to the third place. This is a very standard one-to-many relationship, and the relationship name for this one is operates. Okay, so then we have another one-to-one relationship between employee and diversion, similarly to the one-to-one relationship between department and employee. One of the employee runs each diversion. Each diversion is run by only one employee. So some of the employee will serve as still manager for certain diversion, but some employee are not managers. But each diversion must have one and only one employees related to it. So this one still diversion is on the optional side, employee is on the mandatory side. So we use employee as foreign key in the diversion table. So foreign key is employee ID int not null unsigned. And we first click the foreign key and then the prime key. So this is the relationship, but we need to change the connected to one-to-one and also click this mandatory checkbox for diversion. So here, one employee manages 0-2-minute diversion. One diversion needs to be managed runs by one and only one employee. So this relationship is the relationship name. Then we have the one-to-one relationship between the entity supertype employee and the two entity subtypes. Since the employee ID here also serves as a foreign key, so we first click the employee ID in the full-time table and then the employee ID in the employee table. So this is, as I said, one-to-one relationship. So need to change the connected to one-to-one, and also one employee can be either full-time or part-time. So here, full-time is in optional participation. So please unclick the mandatory checkbox. Similarly, the one-to-one relationship between part-time and employee. Employee ID, and change your connect to one-to-one and unclick the mandatory checkbox for part-time. So this relationship name, both you can call it Ether. Please also mark the this is total completeness. And also a disjoint constraint. Subtype discriminatory is employee type. Okay, then we only have two relationships to review. So first, the relationship between employee and assignment. So this is a one-to-many relationship. An employee may have many assignments. One assignment must be associated with one and only one employee. So because here this is a may. So we first click the employee ID in assignment table and then the employee ID, the employee table. So those you can see like those relationships which related to weak entities are both identifying relationship. So, but here you need to change because we say one employee may have many assignments, so you need to change your connect here. So unclick the mandatory checkbox for assignment. And then the relationship between project and assignment is also a one-to-many. One project can have many assignments, but one assignment must be associated with one and only one project. Otherwise, that assignment makes no sense. So we first click the project ID in assignment table and then the project ID in the project table. So for this one, you don't need to change anything regarding participation degree. So it's the relationship name. You can also name it as pass. Okay, so this is the structure of the whole ERD, I think. Let me see if I have data record here. Okay, department ID 1, version ID 1, employee ID 1, version ID 1, department name, can say sales, street, please remember, be sure you apply the change for those 5 record. If you want extra credit, then you need to add 5 more for each table. So here, there is one thing. Please be sure for each table, you only have one or no data value. Otherwise, when you are doing forward engineering, the system will consider that you have if you have like more than one or no data records, the system will consider that that's an error. So if you have like a 2 or no data values, you must like delete that row. Okay, this is for the department table, and then have the employee table. Employee type, if it's a part-time or full-time. You can only enter P or F for the employee type. Okay, we now have 5 records in employee table. So here we have 2 full-time, 3 part-time. So later you should have I should have 2 data records in full-time table and 3 data records in part-time table. If you have like 10 data records in employee table, then you need to decide how many records you want to in full-time table and then in part-time table. So here in full-time table, which 2 employee are full-time, employee 2 and 4, right? So I can only have employee 2 and employee 5 in full-time table. So salary. So the employee ID you have in full-time table should be consistent to those 2 values you have in the employee type. And then part-time should be 1, 3, 5. Okay. Okay, then the diversion table. I should have diversion URL here. Oh, by the way, so you can make up your own data. You don't necessarily need to follow what I'm doing here now. Okay, so then the project. Assignment. So since this assignment has a composite primary key and both those two attributes are inherent from the parent table, so the data value used here for employee ID and project ID should appear before in employee table and project table. So the easiest way is you use like 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 2, 3, those combinations. But you can also use different combinations as long as the data value for the combination is unique. So here, let me just use the simple way, the simple solution. So for the start date and end date, please be sure you use allowed date format. Year hyphen months date. And the assignment evaluations, since you have defined only two values in the list, so you can only use pass or fail, P or F. If here you use Boolean data type, it's also okay. Then the data value for the evaluation should be either true or false. Depends on you. Okay, now I think every table has data values or data records. So let me change the schema name to my first ID and try to see if I can forward engineer successfully, since it seems that today the server has some problems. So I received some email like you cannot write in Fire. So as I said, since there are two relationships in employee and department and the system does not know which foreign key it should check first. So please cut those 3 lines, which stands for the foreign key checking. Cut them and press it to the end. Okay, my forward engineering is successful, and now let me see if I have those tables. Yeah, I have those 7 tables now uploaded to my database. But this one for project 2, you need to use SSH server for all your SQL statements, not MySQL Workbench. Okay, so that's all for the ERD creation and data records. We will have class that's Tuesday after Thanksgiving, so I have some other thing which I want to say about project 2 as well as exam 2 review, so please be sure you can come. Thank you, that's all.